What happens when your worst enemy becomes your fake fiancé? Two corporate rivals, one fake engagement, 6 months to fool everyone, including themselves. Can you fake love without catching real feelings? Or will their perfectly crafted lie become the most honest thing either of them has ever done? Please hit the subscribe button to get more amazing stories like this. Adanna Kim had exactly 3 rules for surviving as a black woman in corporate Seoul. 1. Be twice as good at your job. 2. Never give them a reason to doubt you. 3. Never ever date a Korean man publicly. She'd followed these rules religiously for 5 years, climbing from junior marketing associate to senior brand manager at Luxe Cosmetics Korea. She was good at her job. No, she was exceptional, and she'd earned every promotion through sheer excellence, not favors. Which is why sitting across from her smirking nemesis, Yoon Ji-hun, in the CEO's office felt like a particularly cruel joke. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Adanna said in flawless Korean, her voice dangerously calm. "You want us to pretend to be engaged?" CEO Park Song-ho nodded, looking deeply uncomfortable. "Just for 6 months, until after the merger with the French parent company is finalized." "This is insane," Adanna said. "I agree," Ji-hun added. It was possibly the first time they'd agreed on anything in 3 years. Park sighed, removing his glasses to rub his eyes. "The French board loved our diversity initiative presentation. They specifically mentioned being impressed by our progressive workplace culture and our international romance story. They think you two are already engaged." "How could they possibly—" Adanna started. "My idiot nephew," Park interrupted, shooting a glare at his marketing director, who stood sheepishly in the corner. "He was trying to impress them during the dinner, mentioned that our 2 top brand managers were in a relationship, showed them photos from the company retreat where you two happened to be in the background of several shots." Adanna remembered that retreat. She'd spent the entire weekend avoiding Ji-hun after he'd undermined her presentation in front of the entire marketing department. "They were convinced it was a beautiful love story," Park continued. "Korean-Nigerian partnership, both rising stars in the company. It became a selling point for the merger. They're very invested in the story now." "So tell them the truth," Ji-hun said. "The merger is worth 200 billion won. The French are already nervous about Korean corporate culture being too rigid, too traditional. If they find out we lied about something this significant, they'll see it as emblematic of deeper dishonesty. The deal could fall apart." Park leaned forward. 6 months. Attend a few events together, let them see you at company functions. After the merger finalizes, you'll both have a mutual, amicable breakup. You'll both receive substantial bonuses. Ji-hun, you'll get the VP position you've been wanting. Adanna, you'll get the global brand director role. Donna's heart jumped despite herself. Global brand director, the position she'd been working toward for years. "And if we refuse?" Ji-hun asked. "Then I'll have to explain to the French that we fabricated a relationship to make the company look progressive. The merger likely fails, the company restructures, layoffs begin. Your teams, the people who depend on you, suffer." Adanna looked at Ji-hun. He was looking at her with the same expression she imagined was on her own face, trapped, furious, calculating. "I need to think about it," Adanna said. "You have until Monday," Park replied. "The French board is visiting in 2 weeks for the engagement celebration dinner." Outside the office, Ji-hun caught up with her at the elevator. "This is your fault," Adanna hissed. "My fault? How is my incompetent colleague's lie my fault? If you weren't always in my business, always watching me, there wouldn't have been photos of us together for him to show. I was watching you because you were sabotaging my campaigns. I was optimizing poorly conceived strategies." The elevator arrived. They both stepped in, then realized they were alone in the confined space, breathing hard, glaring at each other. Ji-hun was infuriatingly handsome when he was angry. Sharp jawline, tight, dark eyes flashing, the small scar above his left eyebrow more pronounced. Adanna hated that she'd noticed.
If we do this, Ji-hun said carefully, we need ground rules. If? You're actually considering this insanity? Global Brand Director, Adanna. You've wanted that role since you started here. Are you really going to let pride stand in your way? She wanted to argue, but he was right, and they both knew it. Fine, ground rules. We start Monday.
They met at a quiet cafe in Itaewon on Sunday evening, neutral territory where they were less likely to be recognized by colleagues. Ji-hoon arrived first, already typing on his phone. He'd ordered her an Americano without asking, which annoyed her until she realized it was exactly what she would have ordered. Rule number 1, Adanna said, pulling out her tablet. This is strictly business, no actual romantic involvement. Obviously, Ji-hoon said. Rule number 2, we maintain separate living spaces. The company doesn't need to know where we actually live. Agreed. Rule 3, we attend mandatory couple events only, no unnecessary time together. Rule 4, Ji-hoon added, we keep our teams out of this. They don't need to be part of the deception. Adanna nodded, making notes. Rule 5, we end this the moment the merger finalizes. Clean break, no drama. Rule 6, Ji-hoon said, his voice quieter now. We protect each other professionally. Whatever our personal issues, we present a united front to the company and the French. Adanna looked up, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. I know we don't like each other, Ji-hoon continued, but I respect your work. I won't let this situation damage your reputation. It was possibly the nicest thing he'd ever said to her. Same. I mean, I respect your work too, even when I think your strategies are wrong. They're not wrong, they're just different from yours. Different and wrong. Ji-hoon almost smiled. Almost. We need a story, how we supposedly got together. The French will ask. Adanna thought for a moment. We keep it close to the truth. We've worked together for 3 years, started as rivals, developed mutual respect, realized the tension was actually attraction, began dating quietly 6 months ago to keep it professional. That's actually believable. I'm good at my job, Ji-hoon. Marketing is about selling stories. Then let's sell this one. Kindly comment where you're watching this story from. They spent the next 2 hours working out details, how they met, true story, competing for the same project. First date, they invented a quiet dinner in Gangnam. Who confessed first? They decided Ji-hoon did, which he protested until Adanna pointed out it made him look better. By the time they finished, they had a complete narrative, a shared calendar of upcoming events, and a tenuous truce. One more thing, Ji-hoon said, as they prepared to leave. He pulled out a small box. Adanna's eyes widened. Is that? A ring. We're supposed to be engaged. It needs to look real. He opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring with a Korean traditional knot design. My grandmother's. My mother insisted when I told her about this. You told your mother? She's visiting from Busan next month. She'd know if I was lying. Better to tell her the truth and swear her to secrecy than try to fool her. Adanna stared at the ring. This was getting very real, very fast. Try it on, Ji-hoon said. We need to make sure it fits. She hesitated, then extended her hand. Ji-hoon slid the ring on her finger, his touch surprisingly gentle. It fit perfectly. How did you know my size? I asked your assistant, told her I was organizing a team appreciation gift. Adanna looked at the ring on her finger, catching the light. It was beautiful. It also felt like a shackle. 6 months, she said. 6 months, Ji-hoon agreed. The engagement celebration dinner was held at Seoul's most exclusive restaurant. The French board members were charming, progressive, and deeply invested in the love story. Tell us how he proposed, Madame Dubois exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Adanna smiled, slipping her hand into Ji-hoon's under the table. His fingers tensed, then relaxed, intertwining with hers. It was very simple, Adanna said in English. We were working late on a campaign, as usual. Ji-hoon ordered jjajangmyeon to the office.
When I opened my container, the ring was there, balanced on top of the noodles. The label laughed. Ji-hoon squeezed her hand, a warning or encouragement, she couldn't tell. I almost ate it, Adanna continued, warming to the story. Ji-hoon had to grab my chopsticks before I ruined a family heirloom. It seemed appropriate, Ji-hoon added smoothly. We've had our best ideas over late-night takeout. Why should a proposal be different? How romantic, another board member sighed. If only they knew the truth. Adanna and Ji-hoon's late-night sessions usually ended in arguments about brand positioning and market demographics. As dinner progressed, they played their roles perfectly. Ji-hoon's hand on the small of her back as they moved between courses, Adanna laughing at his jokes, even the ones that weren't actually funny, the occasional shared glance, loaded with manufactured meaning. You two have such natural chemistry. It's refreshing to see a couple who are equals, who challenge each other. Oh, Adanna challenges me constantly, Ji-hoon said, his smile sharp. And Ji-hoon keeps me on my toes, Adanna replied sweetly, her eyes promising retribution later. The performance was exhausting. By the time they left the restaurant, Adanna's face hurt from smiling. Ji-hoon drove her home in silence, both of them drained. You were good tonight, he said as they pulled up to her apartment in Hanam-dong. So were you. The noodle proposal story was a nice touch. You came up with it on the spot. I just followed your lead. Adanna reached for the door handle, then paused. Ji-hoon? Yeah? Why do you hate me? I mean, really, what did I do? He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I don't hate you. I never did. You've spent 3 years undermining my work. I've spent 3 years trying to get your attention. Adanna stared at him. What? Ji-hoon gripped the steering wheel. When you joined the company, you were brilliant, creative, strategic, fearless. I was impressed. I tried to collaborate with you on that first campaign, remember? The skincare line targeting international markets. You tried to take over my presentation. I was trying to support your ideas, add to them, but you saw it as an attack, so you shut me down, publicly. After that, every interaction became a battle, and I'm competitive, so I fought back. You're saying this is all a misunderstanding? I'm saying we're both stubborn, ambitious people who got off on the wrong foot and never bothered to correct course. Adanna didn't know what to say. 3 years of antagonism, recontextualized in a single conversation. I should go, she finally said. Yeah. But neither of them moved. This is going to be a very long 6 months, Adanna said. Probably. She got out of the car, then leaned back in. Same time next week, we have the company gala. I'll pick you up at 7. As Ji-hoon drove away, Adanna stood on the sidewalk, touching the ring on her finger. Everything she thought she knew about Yoon Ji-hoon was suddenly uncertain, and that terrified her more than the fake engagement ever could.
Over the next month, Adanna and Ji-hoon fell into an uncomfortable routine. Company events twice a week, coordinated social media posts, Ji-hoon's idea. The French follow both our accounts. Lunch meetings disguised as dates. The problem was, the more time they spent together, the harder it became to remember they were pretending. Ji-hoon learned that Adanna hated Korean winters, so he started keeping an extra scarf in his car. Adanna discovered Ji-hoon had a dry sense of humor that matched her own. They both loved old Korean dramas, but would die before admitting it to colleagues. Your mother wants to meet me, Adanna said one afternoon, reading a text from Ji-hoon. They were in his office, supposedly reviewing marketing materials, actually just eating tteokbokki and avoiding real work. She's visiting next weekend. I told her we'd have dinner. Ji-hoon, she knows this is fake. Why do I need to meet her? Because if we don't, she'll show up at the office and cause a scene. Trust me, this is easier. Oh, groan. This is getting too complicated. It's just one dinner. That's what you said about the company gala and the French team dinner and the marketing awards ceremony. At what point do we admit we're in too deep? Ji-hoon was quiet. Then, are you having second thoughts? Aren't you? Every day. But we're halfway through. The merger is on track. We just have to last 3 more months. 3 more months of pretending. 3 more months of Ji-hoon's hand in hers, his arm around her waist, his smile only for show. Except sometimes it didn't feel like pretending anymore. Dinner with Ji-hoon's mother was supposed to be a quick, polite affair. It turned into a 3-hour interrogation. Mrs. Yoon was sharp, elegant, and saw right through them. "You're not in love," she said in Korean, sipping her tea calmly. Adanna nearly choked. Ji-hoon went pale. "Mother!" "Please, I raised you. I know what you look like when you're lying." She turned to Adanna. "And you, dear, are a terrible liar. Every time my son touches you, you flinch like he's burned you." "We're just private," Adanna tried. "Private is one thing. Uncomfortable is another." Mrs. Yoon leaned back, studying them both. "So, what's the real story?" Ji-hoon looked at Adanna. She nodded slightly. He told his mother everything, the fake engagement, the merger, the pressure from the company. Mrs. Yoon listened without interruption. When she finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "You've always been foolish when it comes to matters of the heart, Ji-hoona, but this might be your most foolish decision yet." "I know, Mother. Not because of the deception, because you're lying to the wrong person." She looked at Adanna. "He cares about you, actually cares, and you're too busy protecting yourself to notice." "Mrs. Yoon, with respect, we barely tolerate each other." "Is that why you chose my ring?" she interrupted. "Ji-hoon, you had 3 family rings to choose from. You chose the one my mother gave me, the one that represents partnership, not just romance, the one with both Korean and African jade stones. Did you think I wouldn't notice?" Ji-hoon's face reddened. It seemed appropriate given Adanna's background. "It's appropriate because you wanted her to have something that honored both parts of who she is, because despite your protests, you see her, you respect her." She stood, gathering her coat. "I won't tell anyone your secret, but I will tell you this. 6 months is a long time to pretend. Eventually, you'll have to decide what's real and what's performance. I suggest you figure that out before someone gets hurt." After she left, Adanna and Ji-hoon sat in silence. "Your mother is terrifying," Adanna finally said. "Tell me about it. Did you really choose that ring because of the jade stones?" Ji-hoon didn't answer directly. "We should go. We both have early meetings tomorrow." But as they walked to his car, Adanna couldn't stop thinking about what her mother had said. What if the line between pretending and reality had already blurred beyond recognition? Something happened, and the crack in their arrangement arrived. A new marketing executive joined the company, Park Min-ho, charming, Harvard-educated, and immediately interested in Adanna. "I don't understand why she's pretending to be engaged to you," Min-ho said to Ji-hoon at a company happy hour, loud enough for several people to hear. "Everyone knows it's just for the merger optics." Ji-hoon's hand tightened around his glass. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please, the whole company gossips about it. The convenient timing, the sudden relationship announcement right before the French board visit, it's obvious." Across the room, Adanna saw the exchange, saw the way people were starting to whisper, to speculate. Their cover was falling apart. She walked over, slipping her arm through Ji-hoon's with practiced ease. "Min-ho, are you harassing my fiancé?" "Just making conversation, Adanna. Though I have to ask, when you're done with this arrangement, would you be interested in getting dinner? A real dinner, with someone who's actually interested in you." Ji-hoon moved before Adanna could respond. "She's not interested." "Let her speak for herself." "I'm speaking for both of us when I say you should walk away now."
The testosterone level was rising dangerously. People were definitely staring now. Adanna pulled Ji-hun toward the exit. "We're leaving." Outside, the cold November air was a shock. Ji-hun was pacing, furious. "That asshole!" "Ji-hun, calm down. He basically called you a liar in front of the entire company." "He called both of us liars, which, technically, we are." "That's not the point." "Then what is the point?" Adanna demanded. "Why do you care so much? This is fake, remember? Just business. That's what we agreed." Ji-hun stopped pacing, turned to face her. "What if I don't want it to be fake anymore?" The words hung in the air between them. "What?" Adanna whispered. "You heard me. What if I don't want to pretend? What if I haven't been pretending for weeks now?" "Ji-hun, don't." "Don't what? Don't tell you that I look forward to our fake dates more than anything else in my week? Don't admit that when I hold your hand, it's the most real thing in my day? Don't say that I'm in love with you even though we're supposed to be enemies?" Adanna felt her carefully constructed walls crumbling. "You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life." "This is the arrangement talking, the performance. We've been playing pretend for so long that—" "Adanna," Ji-hun stepped closer. "I knew I was in trouble the night we had dinner with my mother. When she left and you smiled at me, really smiled, not the fake one you use for the French board. I realized I wanted to see that smile every day. Not for 6 months, forever." "This is crazy," Adanna said, but her voice wavered. "Maybe, but tell me you haven't felt it too. Tell me the last month has just been acting for you, and I'll drop it. We'll finish the 6 months, get our promotions, and walk away. Tell me, Adanna." She couldn't, because he was right. Somewhere between the fake dates and the coordinated lies, something real had grown, something that terrified her. "I can't do this," Adanna said. "I have rules, Ji-hun, rules that have kept me safe in this city for 5 years, and rule number 3 is never date a Korean man publicly, because it's hard," Ji-hun finished, "because people will stare and whisper and judge, because my world isn't always kind to people who don't fit neat categories. I know, Adanna, but I'm asking you to break your rule, for us, for something real." "And when it falls apart, when the reality doesn't match the performance, when you realize dating me comes with challenges you didn't sign up for, then we deal with it, together, like partners, like equals." Adanna felt tears threatening. "I'm asking you to risk everything. I'm asking you to risk something for the possibility of everything." She looked at him, really looked at him, at the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability in his posture, the hope and fear written across his face. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Me too." "If we do this, really do this, no more lies, no more performance, just us figuring it out." "Just us," Ji-hun agreed. "And if it doesn't work," he kissed her. It wasn't like the chaste, performative kisses they'd exchanged at company events. This was real, desperate and honest and terrifying and perfect. When they finally broke apart, Adanna was breathless. "Still scared?" Ji-hun asked. "Terrified, but maybe also willing to try." He smiled, that full, genuine smile she'd come to treasure. "That's all I'm asking."
The next morning, they called an emergency meeting with CEO Park. "We have something to tell you," Adanna said. Park looked between them nervously. "The French haven't found out, have they?" "No," Ji-hun said, "but we're done lying." "What do you mean?" "We mean," Adanna continued, "that the engagement started as fake, but it's not anymore. We're actually together now. For real." Park stared at them. You're actually dating?" "Yes." "The 2 people who couldn't be in the same room without arguing 3 months ago?" "Turns out there's a thin line between hate and something else," Ji-hun said, looking at Adanna. Park leaned back in his chair, then started laughing. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Sir, no, it's perfect. It's actually perfect. The French love authenticity. They love a good story. Started as enemies, fell in love while fake dating for a corporate merger. It's like something out of a drama. We're not telling them it was fake, Adanna said quickly. Of course not, but you're telling them the relationship became real, that the performance became genuine. That's a beautiful story, and it's true. Park smiled. I'm genuinely happy for you both, even if you did give me several gray hairs in the process. Does this change the promotion timeline? You've both earned those positions on merit alone. The relationship is just a bonus. But Adanna, if you take the global brand director role, you'll be splitting time between Seoul and Paris. Have you two discussed that? Adanna and Ji-hoon looked at each other. We'll figure it out, Adanna said. Together, Ji-hoon added. The official announcement to the company was interesting. Some people were shocked. Others claimed they'd seen it coming all along. Minho looked furious, which Adanna found deeply satisfying. But the real test came with Adanna's friends and family. Her best friend, Chiamaka, video-called from Lagos with a look of utter disbelief. You're dating who? The guy you complained about for 3 years straight? People change, situations evolve. Adanna, you once called him the human embodiment of corporate smugness wrapped in a designer suit. I may have been slightly harsh. Slightly? Girl, you once made a voodoo doll of him out of office supplies. That was a stress relief activity recommended by HR. Chiamaka laughed so hard she cried. Okay, but is he good to you? Really good to you? Adanna softened. Yeah, he really is. He sees me, Chiamaka, not just the perfect professional image I maintain, the real me, and he's not scared of it. Then I'm happy for you. But if he hurts you, I'm flying to Seoul and we're making that voodoo doll for real. Meeting Ji-hoon's extended family was more complicated. His father was politely confused. His aunts were scandalized. His grandmother, his Korean grandmother, not the Japanese one who'd passed, pulled Adanna aside during a family dinner. My grandson is stubborn, she said in slow Korean, making sure Adanna understood. Like his grandfather, when he decides on something, he doesn't waver. I've noticed, Adanna replied. He's decided on you, completely. The question is whether you've decided on him. Adanna thought about her rules, about the walls she'd built in her life, about the fear that governed her life in Seoul. I'm still deciding, she admitted. Is that okay? The grandmother smiled. That's honest. I like honest. You keep being honest with him and with yourself. That's all I ask.
6 months after the arrangement began, the merger finalized successfully. Adanna was officially global brand director. Ji-hoon became VP of Asian markets. They celebrated at the same Pojangmatcha-style restaurant where they'd had their first real date as a fake couple. So, Ji-hoon said, pouring soju into both their glasses, we made it. We did, against all odds. What now? Adanna considered. Now, I spend 3 weeks a month in Paris setting up the new office. You expand into Southeast Asian markets. We navigate a long-distance relationship while building our careers. Sounds terrible. Probably will be. Want to do it anyway? Adanna smiled. Yeah, I really do. Ji-hoon reached across the table, taking her hand. No performance, no audience, just them. I love you, he said. I know we technically said it before, but that was in the heat of the moment. This is me, sober, rational, completely sure. I love you, Adanna Kim. All of you. The brilliant strategist, the terrible dancer, the woman who reorganizes my desk when she thinks I'm not looking, the person who makes me want to be better every day. Adanna felt tears in her eyes. I love you too.
Even though you're annoyingly perfect at presentations, even though you fold your socks in that weird way, even though you made me break every rule I had for surviving in this city. Good rules to break? The best. They kissed across the table, soju glasses forgotten. One more thing, Ji-hoon said, pulling back slightly. I have something for you. He handed her a small, wrapped box. Inside was a new ring, not his grandmother's, but something custom-made. The band was designed with both Korean and Adinkra symbols, gold and silver intertwined. It's a promise ring, Ji-hoon explained. Not an engagement ring, we're not ready for that yet, but a promise that I'm in this, really in this, for as long as you'll have me. Adanna slipped it on her right hand, next to her grandmother's ring that she still wore on her left. 2 rings, she observed. One for the performance that brought us together, one for the reality we're building. You're such a romantic. Who would have guessed? Only you get to see it. Everyone else still thinks I'm the cold, corporate strategist. Your secret's safe with me? 1 year later, Adanna stood in front of the French board, presenting the company's most successful campaign to date, a global initiative celebrating love without borders, featuring real couples from the company, including herself and Ji-hoon. Madame Dubois approached her afterward. You know, when we first met, I thought your love story was beautiful, but perhaps curated for our benefit. Adanna's heart skipped. But watching you two over this past year, watching you grow together while building your careers separately, maintaining your individual excellence while supporting each other, that's the real story. That's what convinced our board that this company truly values progressive partnership. It wasn't always easy, Adanna admitted. The best things never are, but they're always worth it. That evening, Adanna and Ji-hoon walked along the Seine during her Paris rotation. He'd flown in for the weekend, as he did twice a month. Madame Dubois basically told me she knows the engagement was initially fake. She did? But she also said what matters is what it became, what we became. And what did we become? Adanna thought about the past year. The fights and makeups, the lonely nights apart and the joyful reunions, the way they'd learned to communicate across time zones and cultural differences, the way they'd both grown separately and together. Partners, she said, real partners, the kind who challenge each other and support each other and choose each other every day. I like the sound of that. Me too. Ji-hoon pulled her close, kissing her forehead. So, about making this arrangement permanent. Adanna, are you proposing to me on a bridge in Paris? That's incredibly cliché. Is it working? Adanna laughed, pulling him closer. Ask me again in 6 months. Let's see if you can survive me being based in Paris full-time first. Challenge accepted. You were always too competitive for your own good. It's one of the reasons you love me. Unfortunately, yes. They stood on the bridge, the city of lights around them. 2 people who'd started as enemies, pretended to be lovers, and somehow found something real in the performance. Adanna? Yeah? When I do propose for real, and I will, I'm doing it over jjajangmyeon, making the fake story true. She smiled against his chest. I wouldn't have it any other way. Because the best love stories, they'd learned, aren't the ones that start perfectly. They're the ones where you choose each other again and again until the choice becomes as natural as breathing. And theirs was just beginning.
2 years came by in a twinkle of an eye, and Yoon Ji-hun did propose over jjajangmyeon in their favorite Seoul office. Adanna said yes before he even finished the question. The wedding was held in both Seoul and Lagos, merging traditions and families and worlds. CEO Park gave a speech about how sometimes the best business decisions lead to the best life decisions. Madame Dubois attended and winked at Adanna during the vows. Chiamaka was maid of honor and only mentioned the voodoo doll once.
And when they danced at the reception, Adanna still terrible at it, Ji-hun still patient, they laughed at how far they'd come from their fake engagement dinner, when every touch was calculated and every word was performance. Now, everything was real, and it was better than any arrangement they could have planned.